Everybody, it's a stable lad coming at you with another Friday update. This is going to be a kind of big portfolio update on what I've sort of made some moves on recently, as well as just some of the other things I'm looking at this week in terms of deploying more stablecoins into different DeFi protocols to earn nice percentages here. And I'll show you kind of what I've earned right now. Here's on this page, my average, my APY that I'm looking at potentially earning here is 15.25% for the year if all things sort of remain the same. I'm actually on a higher, I'm probably around, I did my 6 months calculation yesterday, and I'm closer to 18% is what I've earned for the year so far, and that's with one of my positions kind of going belly up. So again, with proper risk management, I only lost 2% on that. I may still end up collecting it at the end of the year or later on in this market, but it's most likely gone. And so even with that gone, I'm still at 18% for the year so far. This is just sort of what I'm mapping out, this 15% right now. So again, this channel is all about taking stable coins, no volatility, and trying to beat the S&P, trying to beat the market with it. And right now I'm on track for 15.25% for the year. And again, in actuality, it's been higher than that. So I'm just going to show you some of the moves I've made recently, and as well as some of the things I'm looking at, just so you can kind of see what's going on here. So the first thing we'll go here, I've added a couple of positions here on the Arbitrum blockchain, specifically these two here. Well, actually this one too on Fluid, but I'm going to show you here. The first thing is on DeltaPrime, which is it is, to me, a high-risk application. So I'm only risking about 2.5% the portfolio in any DeltaPrime positions here. But I added this one here, this USDC at 13.9% here on Arbitrum into the portfolio. It's a nice earnings, but again, only a small amount of the portfolio is in there in case this position goes belly up. DeltaPrime has had like 2 or 3 successive hacks in a row during last year. And so I'm a little bit weary of DeltaPrime, but they just made a partnership deal with Aerodome, which is the DEX that's partnered basically with Coinbase for on-chain DEX stuff. And DeltaPrime has really managed their problems really well and have kind of bounced back from it. So I'm feeling a lot more confident about this position. And if they continue to sort of prove themselves to me, maybe this goes from high risk to sort of mid risk, and then we can add more to the position. But 13.9% on just straight up USDC is pretty damn good. So the next one is this Peapods. I'm not going to go into too much detail on what Peapods is, except for the fact that it's Peapods for me is this really cool protocol. They're building, they're growing, they're doing really, really interesting things, and they're paying nice amounts. So here's a vault on Arbitrum again that's paying 15% for USDC. And we go back here. These are two, as you can see, I kind of rate them here, 2 high positions. So again, I max out. This is the allocation in my portfolio. It's only at 2.39% of my portfolio is what I'm using here. And this is my public portfolio that I'm sharing. It was at $10,000 at the beginning of my videos, but now I've added another 10,000 to it so that we can kind of play with a little bit more money. I just added that this week just to toy around with a little bit more money in this public portfolio that I'm sharing with you guys. So again, I'm only putting 2.39% of the portfolio into this position because it's a high risk position. So if I lose it, I'm only losing 2.39% of my potential APY for the year. The next one I added was I just added to this position here on Arbitrum, and I saw that USDC here on Fluid and USDT here. I didn't add to USDT, but I probably will. I added it to USDC here, just a tiny position here. It's paying 9.39%, and this is a low risk play for me. So I'm just adding to my sort of low risk piece of the portfolio, a simple lending platform on Fluid that Fluid's growing like crazy, paying a lot of incentives, and I love the platform. So I'm putting more money here. I probably will. Sometimes what happens is USDC is paying a higher percentage here, and so people will swap their USDC out for USDT, and then this will end up being 9.5% next week, and then this one will be 10%. So I'm going to leave it in there for a few days just to sort of see what happens and monitor this. If USDT stays higher, I'll swap it over from USDC to USDT, and then I'll make a percentage higher on this account. And you can swap right in here on Fluid, or you can use a different solution to swap. The next adjustment I made was on just a quick one here on Polygon. Polygon has been a little rough. It hasn't paid that well. As you can see, the positions here on Polygon haven't been all that good. 6, 5, 7, whatever. Like, these are not that great positions. And so the only reason why I've stuck with Polygon is because I think that in the bull market, as the bull market moves along, Polygon is a big actual company. And they put a ton of money into growing their protocol when the market's hot. And so I sort of suspect that as the market rages on, if we have a really good fourth quarter, that Polygon, I guess is known as Matic or Polygon, they'll put a ton of money into DeFi to grow it. And so I expect a lot more incentives, and I just want to leave some money over there. So I've only got about $2,000 over there on that blockchain, and I suspect that it'll do fairly well as the market goes on. Quickswap is one of the larger decentralized exchanges on Polygon. It competes with Uniswap and does really, really well, and they're paying here around 10.5% for for this liquidity pool of USDC and DAI. So again, two stable coins that stay stable. I'm not expecting any sort of impermanent loss with the movement of the value of these tokens. So I think this is a really good play to just sort of earn 10.5% on these two tokens here. And so I'm playing around with this, and I've got, you got rewards here. You can see there's rewards earning already on it. The next thing I did was I still have about 5,000 or so cash undeployed, so I'm still playing around with where I want to put that stuff. But this is, like I said, I put $10,000 this week, and I started to deploy those. And so 5,000 or so is still remaining in cash, and the rest has been deployed into these positions here on both Solana and Avalanche. And so let me show you what I've done on Solana. So Solana so far, I'm still exploring Solana. I haven't done a ton of research on Solana. Their DeFi still to me is really young and unproven. And so even though I really love the user experience on Solana, I still haven't fit Solana into my sort of risk management practice yet. I haven't done full analysis on all these protocols that are doing Solana DeFi, and so I haven't figured out where each play goes. So that's why I haven't deployed all of my capital over there, and I'm still not sure if I'm going to. So I'm still exploring a lot of those, but I have put about just a little, like $1,000 over there. So I actually migrated money from Ethereum and put it over to Solana. So I didn't put any new capital in Solana. I just migrated money that was sitting over on Ethereum that was too expensive to use the chain right now because the bull market's doing too well, which is a good thing. But I just I haven't deployed any new capital here. So I put $1,000 over. I used Wormhole, which is a protocol that allows you to kind of bridge money from one blockchain to another. And I put $1,000 over here, and I basically a little over $1,000, and I just put it over on Kamino. Kamino is the lowest risk to me protocol on Solana. It's a lending protocol that's been around for a while. It's got a really good track record, and so they've got a bunch of different markets on here. You could do liquidity and leverage and all that kind of stuff, but I'm just doing these simple lending pools, and I put the majority into this pool, which is their USDC Prime. It's a more conservative lending pool, if you will, and so I put $700 over into this pool, earning me 10.69%, which is really, really nice. It's a more conservative pool, and then I put a smaller amount, $315 over into this sort of more higher risk pool, which again you can see here it's high yield, and they call it's sort of balanced, which means that there's just, I think, a little more exotic lending being done on this one to earn the additional 2.5% on this. So I'm just sort of monitoring this and taking a look at this. I'm gonna watch this a little bit more closely because it's a little more high risk. But as you can see here on this one, I labeled it as high risk, and I labeled this Kamino as mid risk. So again, this Kamino lend on Solana for me is a sort of medium risk kind of protocol, and I put more of 3%, a 3% position here, and on this high risk position I put a 1.5%. So if I lose money in that position, it's not going to hurt the portfolio. Then I've moved over to the Avalanche marketplace, which I've talked about on this channel that I was going to do. I did a whole sort of deep dive last week, I believe, on Avalanche positions that I was looking at. And so here's what I did. I deployed money over to Avalanche. The first thing I did was I converted USDC over to this Go token here. So Go, again, to remind everybody, is Aave's own stablecoin, the Go token, and it's a well-performing token. I consider it a probably medium risk stablecoin token. It's probably low risk, but I'm considering it sort of my medium risk bucket here. And they're paying 12.4%. Now you can take a look at here. The protocol APY is it's a little under 2%. So it's really small base protocol APY. But then you've got this AVAX token that they're paying almost 10.5% on. And so they're incentivizing the growth of this lending pool with AVAX tokens, and I like that. So I got no problem with that. So if you go over here, which you can see, from here, you can see the Aave Chan Initiative interface. This link will take you over here, and then you can kind of see here they're paying 10.5% on this. And so like once a month or whatever, I'll come over here, or whenever it's done. I think it's once a month at these, September 3. No, it's like 3 weeks. So every few weeks you'll come over here and you can claim it. You can claim your rewards. And then what I'll do is I'll just sell that AVAX, that AVAX token, and I'll convert it back into more Go, and I'll compound the position here so long as it keeps paying these nice rewards. The next thing I did over here was on Euler Finance. Euler Finance is sort of it's had its problems, but it's bounced back really, really well. So I'm considering it kind of low to mid risk protocol for me, playing around with these positions. And I just decided to put some money into these two positions here. So I put some money into this AUSD position, paying 12.5%. Let's take a look here. Did I put money in that one? Yeah. So, sorry, that was on the earn. I put money into these ones here. Let me show you here. So, we've got this. Let's actually do it by. There we go. So I put money here into these two positions here. This RE7 Labs cluster. So this is these ones are paying a lot higher. Right, these are paying 94% right here, but you can see there's a warning sign on here because it's highly utilized. And I don't want to get in a situation, I've mentioned this on previous recordings, where I can't get my liquidity out because it's fully borrowed. And so I'm staying away from these ones, even though they're paying really nice one. This one's really good, looks really nice too, because it's got 22% paying here, but you can see there's only almost $500,000 in here, and it's 91% utilized. So I'm just kind of staying away from those ones. I want to stay in these sort of bigger managed pools right here. This one has $45 million in it, and it's 91% utilized. So for me, it's got some wiggle room in here. It's paying 12.5, almost 13%. I like it. It's great. This other one here, AUSD, is Agoura's stablecoin. And it's a fiat-backed stablecoin, so I feel pretty comfortable using it. It's a sort of medium-risk stablecoin to me, but I love that it's fiat-backed, meaning that for every AUSD that they issue, they have to have cash or cash equivalent in their reserves. And so I feel comfortable holding it, and they're incentivizing this pool here with 12.7%, and they're paying wrapped AVAX rewards. So that means basically Avalanche is promoting and partnered with Agoura to sort of incentivize this pool here, which I like. So again, these are nice pools that I feel comfortable and confident putting in some decent amounts in here. And we can take a look at the portfolio. I put basically $1,000 in the USD one and $500 in that one here. So if you look at the portfolio wise, it's under 5% of the portfolio position for this one, and I'm treating this like a high risk position, even though it's not. I may add more money to this Euler position for AUSD. So again, that's what I'm doing so far, though. That's what I've done there. Avant. This is a cool concept here that they've done, where you it is a stable coin that's backed by USDC. So every time they issue or you mint Aave USD, you're minting it through your USDC. So you're giving them USDC and you're minting Aave USD, which means it should stay pretty nicely at $1. And then if you stake it, which adds a little bit of additional risk, but you're staking it on the platform, you're like securing this protocol essentially, you're earning 21.99%. So that's exactly what I've done. I've taken a small $500 position, which is sort of equates to less than 2.5%, and I'm staking it here for 21.99%. So pretty cool position here. There's tons of different ways you can kind of lever this up by taking this save USD position. Because it's a liquid position and it's DeFi friendly, you can take this save position and you can earn on other platforms with it. But I'm just going to earn this 21.99% and sort of set it and forget it here. The next position here is on BlackHole, which is the #1 kind of fastest growing decentralized exchange on the Avalanche blockchain. I talked about this last week. This one's paying supposedly 25%. I'm going to watch it closely because you see the emissions APR here shows at 6.23%. Even though if you're looking at liquidity here, this pool shows it's paying 24.96%. So there's some they're paying rewards, and then you can like lock your rewards and get additional rewards for it. So I'm just kind of messing around with this. This is super high risk to me, so I'm messing around. These are my higher risk positions here that I'm going to be talking about now, and it's very small amounts of the portfolio that I'm playing with here, just to kind of see what's going on, how long the rewards last for, all that kind of stuff. The next one, here's if you wanted to like kind of do a deep dive on BlackHole rewards, you can see here fees, emissions, all that kind of stuff there. Stablejack is another one that I've put a very small amount. I feel like this is the riskiest of all positions I've put on in Avalanche here. So I've only put $250 in this position, which is like under 2%. I think maybe even under 1% of like overall portfolio that I'm risking. I don't want to risk much on this one, but it's this AUSD, which you have to buy here. So you take your whatever collateral, your AVAX, your USDC, USDT here, you buy your AUSD, and then you're earning 18.39% here. So again, super small position. I would not put a lot of money here. Stablejack is brand new, super high risk position. The next thing I did was another DeltaPrime position, which I mentioned earlier on this recording, that's had several hacks last year, several pretty big hacks, but they've bounced back a lot. They're growing really nicely, and so I'm just taking a look here. I just put this USD position here, 14%, but USDT I'm looking at 16.1%. I may add a small USD position. I'm exploring it. Haven't put too much into it yet, but I'm just sort of taking a look at it. Banky is a competitor to Aave. They've had some hacks in the history, and so they're not low risk to me. They're medium risk, but they're paying a higher percentage than Aave right now, and so at 8.39%, I just put a small amount here with a small amount of USDC just to kind of have it work for me. But I'm not putting a ton in here. I'm just mentioning it because it's paying a decent amount for a lending platform that is sort of mid-risk to me. The last thing I wanted to show you before we cut out on the video is just a couple of the things I'm looking at. These are on Solana. So because I mentioned that Solana, I haven't decided if I'm going to put more money onto yet. and I'm still exploring these, and I'm doing more research on these protocols to see if I even like if I like the risk of them. So I'm sort of determining whether or not I think the risk is worth it to deploy capital over to Solana, and I haven't made that decision yet. But these are some of the protocols that I've been looking at that look really interesting to me, just from a first glance perspective that I am exploring deeper. So RateX is a protocol that sort of is like Pendle Finance on Ethereum, and they separate sort of future yield from fixed yield and do all kinds of weird levered yield stuff. But I like that they have fixed yield positions. And here is a fixed yield position that's 14.5%. So it's fixed. They're saying that you're guaranteed to make a fixed yield of 14.5%. I like that. This HYUSD fixed at 18.43%. So, I mean, these are super interesting to me. If I can determine that this protocol is worth putting some money into, which I haven't determined that yet. I'm still diving into the protocol itself, its history, its security, the team behind it, all that kind of stuff. If I determine that I like it, these are positions that I'm super interested in looking at. Loopscale is another one that's really interesting. They have just these sort of basic lending, which I think is more like institutional. They're trying to get like institutional clients, and they manage it with institutional managers apparently. Again, something I'm just looking into. These are their lending pools: 11.3% here, 13.3% here. Really interesting pools. And then of course, Loopscale does looping, which is levered lending essentially, and this is 140% here. Not something I've really felt comfortable doing up to this point with looping, which basically just means you're leveraging your lending positions. But this may be something that I play around with. So I'm just looking at this. I haven't made any decisions yet, but something that's super, super interesting from a lending perspective. You're paying over 10% here, which I like. There's probably some more here. Yeah, 13% is the highest here. And then, if you like looping or leveraging your lending positions, there's probably a lot more you can make here, but something I'm just exploring. Jupiter is another really popular protocol on Solana blockchain, probably more medium risk, and sort of maybe falls in line with where Kamino stands for me. And so if I play around with lending on Solana, these positions here, like this USDS position here, is not bad. 9 and 3, almost 10% here. So just another one that I would probably be comfortable. This is one I'd be comfortable putting money into right away. But the question is, do I really want to put more money over to Solana right now? As the bull market goes on, will Solana put money into DeFi growth, and will DeFi really grow over at Solana? Maybe, probably. So this is just something I'm evaluating. I haven't made that decision yet, but these are the protocols I'm looking at. Again, I mentioned that I invested some money on Kamino already because I had some money that I could put over from Ethereum, but I'm deciding whether or not I want to put more capital over there. Maybe I do put 5,000 over on Solana and just start playing with these if they can fit all into my risk management positions. But I will, I guess, talk about that on future videos, whether or not I've done that or not. So hopefully this was a really good weekly update for you all of things that I've put money into, portfolio updates, as well as things that I'm looking at, whether or not I'm going to deploy more money over to Solana, whether or not I'm going to deploy more money over to Avalanche, or whether or not I'll just take that $5,000 extra that's sort of sitting there in cash in this portfolio and plug it back over to the Ethereum layer 2s that I've had a lot of success with, because there's a lot of positions over there that I think those blockchains are going to grow really, really nicely too, and I've already got a lot of familiarity playing with those blockchains, and they're a lot more, their DeFi is a lot more robust than what I'm seeing with Solana right now. So, but maybe that's wrong. Maybe Solana becomes a chain that I'm like, hey, I really like what they're doing over at Solana. I really like these things. So I haven't made that decision yet. I'm evaluating still. I'll update on future videos, maybe next week. And so until next time, have a great weekend. I'm the Stable Lad. I'm the Stable Lad. And if you like today's video, please hit that subscribe button. Every week I break down what's happening in the world of stablecoins and why it matters, clearly, calmly, and without the hype. This channel is for educational purposes. It is not meant to be financial advice, so always do your own research and manage your risk wisely.